Welcome back to the channel, RacerX here, and today I thought I would tackle a subject many of you have been asking me about over Instagram. You guys have been texting me, and I realize there are tons of rumors out there right now about a new Viper. And we know that Tim Kuniskis, the father of the Hellcat, and so many other amazing performance vehicles at Mopar, he's back. Of course, he's over all of the North American brands this time. So Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler, Ram, all of them. And of course, SRT, he's over Direct Connection. He has a lot of pull and a lot of responsibility. We know that Antonio Filosa is fully behind him, the new CEO at Stellantis. And so Tim kind of has an open slate of stuff that he probably could go after. Is a new Viper one of those things? Well, I have the answer for you guys. I will weigh in on it today. If you guys are brand new to the channel, please do me a big gigantic favor. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It is completely free, and off we go.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Today I'm back in Largo, Florida with my buddies at the Dream Giveaway Garage. Check out this car right behind me. That is a Cadillac CT5V Blackwing, one of the baddest cars on the market. I absolutely love everything about this car. It is luxury, it is performance, it is everything you could ever want out of a sedan. And they are giving this away. And they're not just giving this in the drawing. Take a look at this. They're also giving away this bad daddy. In the same drawing, that is an Escalade V that makes 1,300 horsepower on these two Cadillac Vs. This is a perfect blend of luxury and performance. This truly is one of the baddest SUVs on the planet. Super hard to find. Just look at the beautiful interior here. Just love it. These V-Series Cadillacs are the perfect blend of luxury and performance. I love both of them. Think about it, a Blackwing and an Escalade in the same exact drawing. One of the most expensive drawings that they have ever done. If you go to Dream Giveaway's website, you can enter to win these. Use my code RacerX for 4X entries. That works on all of their giveaways. I am so stoked about this particular one. Like I said, it's a lot of money out there on these. Plus, they pay the taxes for you, so you don't have to worry about that piece of it. You have next to nothing to lose. I cannot wait to see who wins. I will freely admit that I am a huge Viper fan. I have always been a huge Viper fan. It is such a unique car. The design guys did such a great job with that car. 5 different generations of Vipers going all the way back to the 90s. And then, of course, we had them all the way up until 2017 with the Gen 5. The Gen 2s and the Gen 5s are definitely my favorite. You guys may have heard me talk about that in some other videos. But the Viper, by some people's estimation, is the most iconic Mopar ever made. And they have made a lot of good ones, guys. Make no mistake. Obviously, my Demon 170 was pretty wicked. Some of you guys like the muscle cars of old, back to the like the 60s, the 70s, all that kind of stuff. Been a lot of great Mopars out there. But every time I put a poll out on the channel asking about iconic Mopars, the Viper always seems to win. And I actually considered buying a Viper for the channel, but the values just went crazy. Even the Gen 2s, the values just went nuts. If you want a Gen 5, you pretty much can't get a nice specimen for under 6 figures. And if you want an ACR, just forget about it. You're going to pay Lamborghini money for one of those things. And truth be told, they are not the fastest thing in the world. Matter of fact, they don't even drive all that great by my estimation. I have driven every single generation of Viper many, many times, and they just drive a little bit funny. Ask anybody that's an actual Viper owner that's driven them. They're not actually the greatest car in the world to drive by my estimation. The Viper has always been essentially just a blunt instrument, if you will. And what I mean by that is you get a big old naturally aspirated V10 and you get a couple of seats and not a whole lot else other than a pretty darn cool design. We know that the early Vipers didn't even come with ABS, basically no driver's aids to speak of, and very few bells and whistles. Got a little bit better by the time you got to the Gen 5 that went all the way to 2017. But the early Vipers, they were borderline dangerous when you got people behind the wheel that didn't know what they were doing, because that power would definitely get that car to kick out on you. And that's just part of driving a Viper. Anybody that's owned one will tell you kind of the same thing. And they are not the most refined car in the world to drive. Your feet kind of scoot out to the left. They could have done better with the gearbox. I mean, there's a lot of things you could say about the Viper in terms of ways they could have improved it. But still, everybody loves them. And a huge shout out goes to the design team of the Viper, because they made one of the most unique cars that you're ever going to see. I mean, you see a Viper, you know it is a Viper. And that is the great thing about that car. So a lot of people have come to the conclusion that a new Viper is coming for various reasons. Like I said, I know a lot of rumors have been put out there about a new Viper. I would absolutely love to see it. I know a lot of you guys would love to see a new Viper. Obviously, we've had an administration change and the EPA rules are a little bit more lax, which allows Dodge SRT, if you will, to have more freedom. And now Tim Kuniskis is also back over SRT and all the North American brands. And everything just kind of lines up really, really well. However, the Viper is not coming, guys. Oh, come on! I'm just going to be blatantly honest with you guys, and there are several reasons why a Viper isn't coming. So I want to just dispel any of the rumors out there right now as 100% matter of fact, there's no Viper coming for several reasons. You've got a chassis that is way too heavy in the Charger, it is way too big, and it just would not work for a Viper. Now, this is coming from some conversations I've had with some folks that know what they're talking about when it comes to this car. I'm not going to go into a lot of other detail about that, but a Viper literally makes no sense for the company to do. There's a reason it went away back in 2017. They just weren't selling the units that they needed. It was approaching a price point that really wasn't the Dodge consumer anymore. And it's not that they couldn't make a new Viper. They could make a new mid-engine Viper that would be bad to the bone. But because they would have to re-engineer a brand new chassis, they would have to come up with an all-new design on the car, and it's all for basically one car, it's not feasible. It doesn't make sense because it would come out at a price point probably somewhere between $250,000 and $300,000. And yes, they could give us an 1100 horsepower Viper. I'm very confident that they could do it, but it would hit a price point that makes no sense. They would never recoup their money, and it just doesn't, it's not the Dodge consumer. And I have been told by multiple executives at Mopar that their sweet spot really is that 80 to 120 range for their high level cars, right? Their halo level cars, if you will. They know that they can do that, and maybe they can still not alienate their customer base, but this is not Porsche, right? I mean, it's more of a blue collar brand, Dodge is. It's not Ferrari, it's not Lamborghini or McLaren. And when you're approaching that price point, you sort of blur the lines there, but you alienate the vast majority of people that could actually afford your product. And they realize that. So a Viper at $250,000, $300,000, and some of you say, oh no, they could do it for, I promise you guys, I have talked to them about the numbers on the car. They know that it doesn't make sense. They know, like I said, it's not that they couldn't do it, but it makes no sense financially to go ahead and go down that rabbit hole. Now, I already know that I'm going to get some comments in the comment section about this, so I figured I would just go ahead and address it. How in the world is Chevrolet doing all this amazing stuff with their C8 Corvette, giving us all these different trim levels, yet Mopar cannot give us a new Dodge Viper and kind of go down that same path? Well, there are lots of reasons why. The Viper has always just been the Viper. It's basically just one car. It's a very iconic car, and that's partly what made it cool, but they're not going to give you a low-level trim, a mid-level trim, a high-level trim of the Viper. Yeah, they may have some packages, obviously the ACR piece of it, that's really darn cool, but I mean, the Viper has always just kind of been the Viper. You're not going to get a six-cylinder Viper. That's not really the spirit of what that vehicle is, right? But when you talk about a C8 Corvette, you have a base level C8 Corvette, right? They actually benchmarked it at like 60 grand. That's what they were going after. And then of course, they gave us the E-Ray and the Z06, and now we have 1,000 plus horsepower, 1,064 horsepower ZR1. Now we also have the ZR1X at 1,250 horsepower. But here's the thing, the chassis is the same on all those cars. It's the same chassis. I mean, they really didn't change anything on those chassis to give you all those different trims. And this chassis has actually been out there since like 2017. I realize most of these C8 Corvettes really didn't start showing up until like 2020. Some of them were 2019s, very few, because we all know that COVID was going on, all that kind of stuff. But that chassis has been working for them for a long time, and they already knew that they were going to give a whole bunch of different Corvette trims. That's something they've always done. And even if you just look at a base C8, I mean, you have different trim levels of a base C8, right? And then you have different trim levels of the Z06, and they gave us a convertible. I mean, that's just a GM thing. That's what they do. But they're getting a lot of use out of that chassis. So they don't have to go back to the drawing board to give us a 1,250 horsepower ZR1X. Yes, they did a lot from an engineering perspective on the engine, obviously on the suspension, and multiple other things on that car to make it absolutely insane. But they aren't going to make very many of the ZR1, and they're going to make even fewer ZR1Xs. So as cool as those cars are, they're not going to make a whole lot of them, and they're hitting a price point that even alienates a lot of Corvette buyers. Like I said, if you're a McLaren buyer, oftentimes you don't cross shop a Corvette. Now that may change a little bit, obviously, with them continuing to step up and up and up, because a ZR1X will walk all over just about anything that McLaren has out there. Maybe if you get to the super exotic McLarens, you know, they've got a few just wild things out there that are in the millions of dollars, but nothing from a price point perspective that even touches what Corvette is doing. But Dodge, I mean, if they put something out there at that price point, they're just not going to get any sales from it. I mean, they may get some, but that is not the Dodge consumer. So anyway, guys, I just want to set the record straight as to why a Viper doesn't make sense. I've already talked to lots of folks over at Dodge about this very thing. And so as cool as it would be, as much as I would still love to have a new Viper, believe me, I kind of thought it was on the table there for a while as well, but I want to just dispel the rumors right now, no new Viper. But with that said, they are working on something else, a new Halo car. I really can't tell you a whole lot about it, but it is going to hit a much better price point. And according to some senior leaders over at the Mopar garage, if you will, it is actually going to put the Viper to shame.
Hell yes.
So just think about that for a second. This is coming out of the mouth of some of the most senior people over there. A new car is coming, and it's going to put the Viper to shame. I can't wait to see what that is. The other thing about it is, don't expect it here in the next 6 months or even a year. It's under development right now. It's going to take a while, so be patient. But they are hard at work at putting something else out there that will really resonate with the Mopar consumers out there at a price point that is more livable, right? I mean, that's kind of how it is with the Demon. A lot of people, you know, maybe stretch for the Demon or maybe stretch for a Super Stock or a Hellcat. But when you jump up into the 200, 300, there's not a lot of stretch in there. That's a very small portion of the population that's going to buy a car like that. Anyway, guys, I realize I probably burst a few people's bubbles out there. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I do feel like it's important to be transparent with you guys. And I don't want anybody holding their breath for a new Viper, because it simply isn't happening. And let's be honest, how many of you guys are getting in line for a $300,000 Viper? I certainly can't afford it. Just being honest with you guys, like I said, I like to be transparent. I can't afford that. I would love to afford a ZR1X if I'm honest, because I like all performance. It would be even a bigger bonus if they were doing it with Mopar. So I think it's one thing to be a little disappointed that it's not coming, but if you're being realistic, most of you guys, probably 99% of you guys, are in the same position as me, and you're not going to be out there buying $300,000 Dodges. That's just the way it goes. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think about all this in the comments down below, and I will catch you on the next one. So until then, RacerX.